Instead of wasting hundreds of dollars on supplements that you might not need, watch this video. I'm going to go through all of the popular supplements that you see within the fitness space and rate how they should be tiered in terms of beneficial or worth their money. Regardless of if you're trying to lose fat or put on muscle, this video should help you get to your goals. And so if you like this video, leave a comment to let me know. Also leave a like on the video and subscribe for more content like this. So you might be asking yourself, why should you trust me? I'm a fitness coach with a degree in exercise science, and I have an A certification as a personal trainer. I've been working with people for over 5 years, and I also don't like spending money on things that I don't need to. So I've done the research to see which supplements are probably worth your time and which ones you should avoid. The first one we're going to be covering is ashwagandha. I'm going to have to put this one in C tier. D tier is going to be things that directly hurt you or just don't do what they say they do. I think that ashwagandha does do what it says it does, which is going to help with cortisol levels, relieve stress. However, I think there's a lot of misinformation when it comes to it, as people think that it's going to be something that, cures their depression. They think that, it's going to lower their cortisol levels so much. First off, you need to make sure you're getting the right type if you're getting ashwagandha, so that's going to be ashwagandha KSM66. And then on top of that, you need to make sure that you are cycling it, because some people will build up a resistance to it, and so you want to cycle on for a couple months and cycle off if you can. I don't think that this is something that's going to directly help you put on size. This also isn't something that's going to directly help you lose weight. It's more of a secondary benefit, so it just kind of gets C tier because of that. Next up here is going to be BCAAs or EAAs. These are going to go into B tier, and the reason they're going to go there is because they essentially do the same thing that protein powder does, but they're just going to be a little bbit more expensive and also aren't necessarily necessary for the average person compared to someone who's a competitive athlete or a bodybuilder. If you fall into that upper echelon or the top competitor level, I can definitely see being more basis for this because of the fact that they're going to be less calories in your protein powders, they're going to be faster digesting, and so if you're wanting to optimize every single thing you can, these can definitely be beneficial, but I don't think that most people watching this video are going to fall into that category, so it's going to go to B tier. Caffeine is going to go A tier. Caffeine is something that the vast majority of the United States population consumes, and I believe is the most traded and sold drug in the world, which is pretty insane to say. But caffeine is going to go A tier. Now, while caffeine doesn't make you have more energy, it doesn't make you feel tired. So the way that caffeine works is it waves off that sense of tiredness. It doesn't actually, pump you up and give you energy, which is something that a lot of people have misconstrued. That's oftentimes, brought on because of the increase in heart rate. And so that jittery feeling that makes you feel that way. Caffeine can be great for a workout because of that reason. I mean, energy drinks, coffee, tea, whatever else, a lot of people take that in their pre-workout, and so that's why it's going to be A tier because it is beneficial. However, a lot of people have a dependency on it, and so that's something that you need to keep in mind because you don't want to build up a resistance to it and have to just use more and more and more to get the same benefit. I would say that for most people, the daily recommended intake is 400 milligrams, and so you should definitely not go above that. I also wouldn't recommend having that much pre-workout, as it is a vasoconstrictor, which isn't going to be helpful because you want to be getting blood to your muscle, and so taking too much of it can actually hinder that process. Generally speaking, 1 scoop of a pre-workout is going to have 200 or less milligrams of caffeine. Some crazy dosages are going to have higher, but for the most part, I would say don't go over that 400 milligram mark for the entire day. Also, don't take pre-workout or other caffeines if you're taking them in the afternoons, as that's going to disrupt your sleep, which is going to be detrimental to your overall growth comparative to beneficial. So if you are thinking about taking a pre-workout before the gym in the afternoons, take a non-stim, which is going to mean it doesn't have caffeine, but it has all the other pump and beneficial stuff in it. Next up here, by absolutely no surprise, is going to be creatine in S tier. I think everybody could have seen that coming. Creatine is the most studied supplement that we currently have in the fitness industry. It has 0 negative side effects associated with it, even though some people like to say that there's going to be things in terms of water retention or hair loss. There isn't any significant study that has come out and said that that is true, and there have been so many studies that have disproven that to be true. So you can rest assured that it's going to be safe for you. The amount that you should be taking is anywhere between 5 grams or slightly higher, depending on how much you weigh. If you're over 200 pounds or you're a predominantly fairly muscular person, I would say that higher than 5 grams could be beneficial. And then the type of creatine that you want to take is going to be creatine monohydrate. There are going to be different types that people are going to try and sell you on. Don't go for them. Creatine monohydrate is going to be the cheapest and the most effective form that you can get. So don't buy into these, proprietary blends or anything else. Just creatine monohydrate by itself. If you want to get the gummies or the flavored creatines, that's perfectly fine. Just make sure that they have on their label creatine monohydrate and it is properly dosed. That's all you want to look for. But I would say that creatine, if you're going to buy one supplement and one supplement only for your fitness journey, if you can afford one supplement, get creatine. that is the one to go for. Next up here is going to be dextrose. I think that, again, this is going to be in the B tier. I think that it's beneficial, but not to the degree of something like creatine or caffeine. Dextrose essentially is a simple sugar that your body is going to be able to use to shuttle to the muscle directly after your workout. And so if you're someone who is depleted after a workout and you're trying to get the carbohydrates back to your muscle, this is going to be a helpful way of doing that, because then you're able to regrow faster. Also, it can help to shuttle protein. So, you hear about that anabolic window for muscle protein synthesis. Having dextrose with a scoop of protein powder or any form of protein after workouts can be helpful to shuttle that fuel to the muscle to start it regrowing and getting the recovery process going. So maybe it could help with soreness a little bit, maybe it could help with growth. I think that it's something that if you have the money to invest into it, it could be beneficial to look into. However, I don't think that it's going to be, again, as beneficial as creatine or caffeine. I'm going to put this one slightly above BCAAs or EAAs because I think that there isn't another supplement that would take the place of what dextrose does, whereas there is another one that would take the place of what these do. So that's where I'm going to have it for now. If you have the expendable income, these could be good to look into in this B tier, but I wouldn't say that it's necessary by any means. It's, again, maybe for those, super trying to optimize or get the best results possible as fast as they can. All right, so this is going to be an interesting one because electrolytes I have to put into two different spots. So if you're a person who only does lifting and you only care about trying to get bigger, it's D tier because of the fact that you aren't obviously sweating enough to really have this be something that you need to worry about. Given that you're having a well-rounded, nutrient-dense lifestyle in terms of your nutrition and the foods that you eat, you don't really need electrolyte supplementation. However, if you're a runner or you're somebody who sweats a lot by, maybe you engage in some type of activity, like biking or, a combat sport or whatever else, somewhere that you're going to be sweating more than just at the gym, electrolytes is probably going to be an S tier then. So that's where I need to, make the differentiation. If you're just a lifter, that's all you care about, you're just a gym bro, I'm putting it down here. But if you're someone who is focused on running or other things and you sweat a lot, and it is something that you need to have because of the fact that you're going to lose a lot of electrolytes through sweat, it's going to go in S tier. So just a note there. Now with electrolytes, there's going to be three main ones that you're going to get in your supplements that you're going to get. They're going to be potassium, sodium, and magnesium. I have an entire blog post going over the supplementation in terms of what you should look for the breakdown in terms of how much of each that you want to find in your packets or in your powders or whatever else. So go check out that blog post if you want the full breakdown there. But essentially, you want to have sodium as your main ingredient in terms of dosage, then potassium, and then magnesium. A lot of companies, Prime, had something in my throat there. They will put potassium first because it's going to help with flavor, and then sodium second. That isn't going to be a properly dosed electrolyte drink. That isn't going to be as beneficial as something like sodium first, then potassium, then magnesium. Why is that? Well, you lose the most sodium when you sweat. Guess what you lose second most? Potassium. Guess what you lose third most? Magnesium. I know, crazy, right? So we want to supplement in the same way that we lose. That's kind of how it makes the most sense. So make sure that when you're buying electrolytes, if you are going to buy them, that you're getting ones that are properly dosed. Again, read my blog if you want to look into that and get more information. It's on my website. Scroll down to the bottom, click the search bar and type in electrolytes and you can learn everything you want to know about that. Fat burners, honestly, there isn't a tier low enough that I can put this one in. So I know it looks bad having electrolytes here. So honestly, they're going to be in C tier. I think electrolytes are probably a little bit more beneficial than that. I changed my mind on that a little bit. But that's because fat burners are so bad. Fat burners, for the most part, are just going to be caffeine. They're marketed as something that burns fat, but they really don't. Fat burners are essentially appetite suppressants. What they do is they slam a bunch of caffeine into a pill or drink or supplement or whatever, and they have you take that, and then you don't feel hungry because caffeine is going to be an appetite suppressant. That essentially is misinformation then, and it's dishonest marketing because you're not really burning fat. All you're doing is getting people to eat slightly less, which then in turn, yes, can burn fat, but I don't really like the idea of selling people on something that isn't actually truthful, and so this is something that you should never put your money into ever. If you wanted to just get caffeine supplements like caffeine pills, you would be doing the exact same thing and it'd be much cheaper. So fat burners, D tier, do not invest into them. Fish oils. These ones are an interesting one to me because for a lot of people, I can see the benefit. I would probably put this in about B or low A tier. Reason being, a lot of people aren't going to get their fatty acids or their omega-3s and omega-6s because of the fact that the standard American diet does not include a lot of fish, and so fish oils can be a great way of getting in those omega-3s and omega-6 fatty acids without having to change your diet. So supplementation of fish oils are going to be great for that, as you don't have to change anything else then. But at the same time, a lot of people aren't even aware of the fact that they should probably be getting omega-3s and omega-6s, and they are fine. So I think that it just can't rank that high for me because of that reason. I do see the benefit, and if you are someone, especially if you're trying to get like an incredibly low body fat percentage, fish oils are probably going to be very helpful for you for that reasoning, just because your hormones are going to be more important to focus on as you lower your body fat percentage. So I would probably say if you're trying to get like extremely lean, probably like A tier then, maybe fish oils would be there then. So I don't know, I'm kind of drawn between A and B. Let me know in the comments if you think this should be A, B, S, C. But fish oils are gonna have it low A, I think is where I'm gonna put it for now. So let me know if you disagree or agree. Glycerol. Liquid glycerol is going to be more beneficial than the dry form of glycerol. The reason being it's more bioavailable, or your body can actually use it as fuel or use it for its intended purpose comparatively to the dry version. So the ratio is like much higher for liquid glycerol. So if you're gonna get glycerol, I would say get the liquid one. Essentially, it's just a pump formula. It helps you to get a pump in the gym. It helps shuttle water to the muscle and then help with, like getting that swole look. But it's really not that necessary. So I'm honestly just gonna have to put this in like C tier. I don't think it hurts to have, but it's one of those things where it's like you don't need a pump to get bigger. It can, make you feel better and then maybe motivate you, but at the same time, it's not something where it's, directly making your muscle larger or directly helping you lose weight. So I'm really just gonna have to put this in C tier. Again, it's one of those where you can spend money on it, but it's not something that's as beneficial as something like a dextrose or a BCAAs or EAAs. And so it's gonna have to be down here where it's like, maybe situational, or if you have the expendable income, go for it. Now, magnesium is an interesting one because I, again, would probably put this B or A, similar to how I did fish oils, because of the fact that for certain people it is really, really beneficial, and for others they really don't need it. Magnesium is a supplement that can help a lot with sleep, and so depending on the type that you get, again, I have a blog post covering this, so if you want to go to my website and check that out, I cover it more in depth, but magnesium can help with sleep, and so if you struggle with sleep, this could be S tier, because an example would be like my grandma. She struggles with sleep. She has issues sleeping through the entire night. She has restless leg syndrome, and so I advised her to take some magnesium, and it's actually been helpful in terms of her getting, a full night's sleep. Instead of her averaging like 4 or 5 hours a night, she's getting closer to 6 or 7 now, which is great for her. She's also not waking up as much in the night because of restless leg syndrome, and so that's another thing that I would say it can be beneficial for. So I don't know, it's tough because like for someone like me who, is pretty diligent about sleep and I don't have issues with it, I really don't need this supplement, and so for me it would be very low, but for a lot of people I see the benefit of it, and so I don't think it's, as beneficial as creatine again, but I'm going to put it A tier because I do think it is still beneficial. Next up here, we're going to rate mass gainers. This is going to be the same thing as fat burners. It's going to be D tier. Now, my reasoning for this is not because it doesn't work, but because it doesn't give you a lot of the other benefits that other things would. What do I mean by that? So mass gainers are great because it's a super easy way to get in lots of calories. However, for one, they are expensive. For two, they don't have the micronutrients that you'd be getting from whole foods, and that plays a large role in terms of how you feel. A lot of people say like macros are how you look, micros are how you feel. So if you're taking mass gainers to try and put on more size, you're trying to, bulk up a little bit, sure, you're going to be able to get in the calories, but you're also not getting your micronutrients, so you might not feel that great throughout the day. And so I really just don't recommend them for people. If it is a situation where you just genuinely can't gain weight, go for it. As long as you balance the other things in terms of like a healthy, balanced diet, I don't see the detriment to them, I guess, in a sense. Same thing with fat burners. I mean, like, you're not hurting yourself by taking them, but you're definitely not helping yourself either. It's just kind of a waste of money is essentially what I'm saying. But mass gainers would be slightly above fat burners, I think, because of the fact that they actually would help in terms of putting on size, but they're not helping in terms of, the micronutrients like I already stated. So just kind of a waste of money. But I mean, if you disagree with that, that's perfectly fine. Next up here is going to be multivitamins. I'm going to put this in A tier. I think that multivitamin is just a good, well-rounded supplement for you to take because of the fact that most people aren't having their micronutrients hit throughout their diet. A lot of people don't eat enough vegetables and fruits, which are going to help with micronutrients. They, maybe aren't hitting things in terms of like iron, zinc, whatever else. And so this can just be helpful in order to get that. So I would say for most people, multivitamins are one of the best things that you can take in terms of supplementation. It's not going to be S tier though, because again, it helps with well-rounded in terms of getting you, healthier overall, but it doesn't help directly with putting on more size. It doesn't help directly with losing weight. And so I'm not going to put it in S tier for that reason. But yeah, it's going to be A tier, and it's going to be high A tier because it's definitely worth investing into for 99.9% of the population. Okay, this one here, we're going to have quote unquote peptides. So this one I'm going to put into not natty. I'm going to explain a little bit more though. So peptides, for people who are unaware, are essentially things that you can buy that help with different things in terms of recovery, growth, whatever else. And the reason I put it in quotes because peptides aren't very well defined in terms of what is a peptide, what isn't a peptide. And for a lot of people, they aren't aware of the fact that a lot of companies or, like competitions, whatever else, if you get tested, peptides are things that you can get tested for and you can pop up as not natty then. So if you're someone trying to do a bodybuilding show and you're taking certain peptides for healing or growth, you can actually pop up as not natty and you can't compete. Or you would have to compete in a enhanced division. Or if you're someone who does other things, like running, swimming, biking, whatever, if you're an athlete, if you get tested, some peptides will pop up on their list of drugs to look for, and you can be, disqualified then. So it's one of those things where they're not well regulated, they're not well tested. A lot of them are tested for, aren't tested for, and so it's just kind of a gray area. I think that they do serve a great purpose if you're not natural and you're trying to work on overall injury prevention or recovery. I do think that a lot of them can help with other things too that people have issues with. So they have their place, but I'm not going to rank them in terms of other things. I'm just going to put them in not natty. So just be aware of the fact that they can be helpful, but also it's something that you should really do your due diligence and look into for yourself to see if they're beneficial for you or if it's something that you should maybe step away from and avoid. Next up, here's pre-workout. This is going to go in A again because I think that it is better in terms of a investment comparative to something like dextrose or BCAAs or EAAs because of the fact that it is going to directly help you with putting on size, because it is going to directly help you lift better. It's maybe controversial to say that, but I think that the stuff that is in your supplements that you will find, or your pre-workout supplements, as long as it's properly dosed, you're getting it from a good company, is going to be incredibly beneficial. Now, I don't think it's S tier, but I do think it is high A tier for sure. Now, a component of pre-workout is going to be caffeine. So that's going to be something to keep in mind. I already put caffeine here, so it's going to be pretty close to that. There are other things that are included in it though that's going to be, having it beat out caffeine because of, pump products, endurance products, whatever else that can be beneficial more so than just caffeine within itself. There's going to be things that are vasodilators. So if you have caffeine in your pre-workout, it's going to help not have it be only vasoconstricting, but also vasodilating, so you can get better blood flow. There's going to be things that are going to help with strength. There's things that give you that tingly feeling. So whenever you're working out, the perception of your workout is going to be better in terms of pushing yourself. So overall, I think that it's a good use of money. They can be expensive, but what I do to make my money last longer is I only half scoop. Now, for a lot of people, they're like, oh, I want to be cracked out. I want a double scoop. I don't really need that for my workout. I'd rather just listen to some good music and, push myself hard. And I don't need to be like cracked out on pre to do that. So for me, just half scooping has been really, really good. Also, if you're very caffeine sensitive, you don't need to do a full scoop. Or if you're someone who just doesn't want to build up a tolerance to it, just half scoop. That works perfectly fine. All right, last three here. Protein powder, S tier. I mean, come on now. What are we talking about here? Protein powder is going to be one of the most bioavailable forms of protein on the planet. It's going to be higher than a lot of meat sources. It's going to be higher than a lot of vegan and vegetarian options. It is up there with milk. It is up there with ground beef. I mean, it's the cream of the crop when it comes to trying to get your protein in for the day. It's incredibly easy to ingest. Most people don't have issues in terms of gut issues with it. It's super convenient. It is relatively affordable per gram of protein. I know that the tub itself looks like it's a lot of money, but per gram of protein, it's relatively affordable. There's a lot of companies that do very good flavors now. This isn't the early 2000s or, the 90s or 80s where protein flavors didn't taste that great. We're talking about good flavors with products that are well, understood. We have the research to back that protein powder is S tier. It is for sure S tier. You may disagree with me. That's fine. Let me know if you disagree with me, but it's S tier. We're talking about the top two here. Creatine's top two, not two, but protein powder is right behind. The sauces. So this is gonna go into not natty. If you know what I mean by the sauces, obviously we're going to refer to performance enhancing drugs or PEDs. These are gonna be above S tier. I mean, there has been research that found that if you take a person who lifts and they're natural, and you take a person, and they're both beginners. Take a person who lifts and is natural. Take a person who isn't natural and doesn't lift. The person who doesn't lift still puts on muscle, and it's comparable to the person who lifts that's natural. If you are understanding of dosages, if you are a person who is understanding of how to use these supplements, and you're a hyper responder, GG, you win. Like, the amount of growth that you can get is essentially exponential when it comes to this stuff. Now, I am not trying to glorify this. There are serious health risks that come along with this stuff. This is not something to mess with. People have lost their lives due to this stuff. Many, many people. Also, even if they don't lose it, early on in life, a lot of people say that with every cycle, you lose half a year, 2 years onto the end of your lifespan. It's something to seriously take into account. Now, this doesn't go in terms of me saying HRT, hormone replacement therapy. This is different, okay? So HRT would be not on this list, but that's going to be a different, qualification. That's different. That's through your doctor. That's well tracked. I'm talking about the sauces that you get from, Benny in the back alley, okay? That's the stuff that you need to be aware of and worry about. So you need to trust the person that you're doing business with. You need to research this stuff. You need to be smart about this stuff. If you are young, don't consider it. No point genuinely at all. There is absolutely 0 point. Who are you trying to impress? Yourself? Girls? Other guys? No point, okay? Being big is not worth the risks. Now, with that said, again, if we're talking about actual benefit here, it's going to be more beneficial than all this stuff. Does not matter. It's the number one, okay? Like, who are we fooling, okay? You're not getting on the bodybuilding stage and competing with Chris Bumstead if you're natural. Like, let's be real. Last one here, the Greg Doucette special, Turkesterone. Oh, there it is. I mean, as far as I can see, it's essentially just placebo, guys. Like, there isn't much that I've seen in terms of research, and there isn't much research, to be fair, but the research that I have seen points to the fact that it's really not that beneficial. I don't think it's detrimental, but I think it's a waste of money, and I don't want to waste my money, so that's where I'm going to put it. I think that it's a, natural steroid is what people call it. It's a natural steroid, right? You'll see it all over TikTok, the ads for it, like, this person called this a natural steroid. No, it's not. It comes from a plant. It is natural. However, it is not close to a steroid from what I've seen. Not better than creatine, not better than any other things on this list. So that's where I'm going to put it. But yeah, this is my list, guys. Again, electrolytes we're going to put higher if you are, a runner or something. But honestly, I'm pretty happy with how this list came out. I feel like it's, fairly well done in terms of where I put everything. And, I'm sure there's going to be somebody that disagrees with me and is going to comment on this video or other videos about this, like, no, this has to be an S tier, like whatever else, right? So if you disagree with me, let me know. I mean, I'd love to have, a dialogue about that, but this is where I put my stuff, guys. If you have any questions about any of these in specific in terms of dosaging or, would you recommend, would you not recommend, what companies, whatever else, let me know in the comments. Also, if I didn't include something on this list, if I forgot one and you're like, hey, where's this? Drop that in the comments too, and I will let you know, like, oh, completely forgot about that one. Maybe I'll do that in another video, or, I'll address it in your comment or make a video on it. So, yeah, this is where I'm putting this stuff for this video, guys. Again, subscribe if you liked this video. If you want more videos like this, let me know by dropping a comment. It really helps me to know what videos you guys want to see, so that way I can make that stuff for you. And also, again, reminder, I'm a fitness coach, so if you're trying to get big, if you're trying to lose some weight, I have an understanding of supplementation, I have an understanding of training and nutrition. I've helped people, including myself, put on some size and lose some weight. So if you're looking for results, don't feel scared to reach out.